Hey y'all, I'm James A. Went, author of the Disposable Children series of books. You know, I keep hearing people talking about the good old days. Everybody keeps talking about how great it was way back then. Well, I lived way back then. When most folks are talking about it anymore is usually they're talking about the 80s. I was very alive and doing very well back in the 80s. Well, I was very alive. But I was around, I had turned a teenager just as the 70s turned into the 80s. And I'm here to tell you, it wasn't anywhere even remotely what people claim it was. The 80s was a very different time from what it is now, that much is true. But was it any better? I really don't think it was. A lot of the things that people talk about as being so much better in the 80s than they are now were only better because they didn't hear about it. You didn't hear that much about police corruption because not everybody was running around with cameras recording it. You didn't see it on your videos. We didn't have the internet to exchange information. You had a handful of people that were very favored by society as a whole, and they were pampered. And then you had a handful of people that were absolutely hated by society as a whole, and they were victimized to the point of death. They were marked to be exterminated. And most of them were. Most of them didn't survive to tell you the truth about what that era was really like. That's one of the reasons why I think the second book in the series, Disposable Children 2, Coming of Age, is quite possibly one of the most important literary works of our age. It tells the truth. It tells the story of what the early 80s really were and of what was really going on. Not filtered through some politically correct lens, just laid out bare and naked and ugly. The way it was. The good, the bad, and the indifferent. And therein lies the real heart of it. Most people were simply indifferent to each other, to the plights of others around them, to society as a whole. They just really didn't care. The issues of police corruption back in the early 80s were probably worse than they even are today. I mean, you see all this stuff today, but it was absolutely horrific back then. And pretty much everybody knew it. All the kids knew it, all of our parents knew it. Everybody knew the cops were crooked. They were planting drugs on people just in order to convict them. They were slapping around, beating up and killing anybody that they didn't like, that didn't look the right way, didn't dress the right way, or just happened to cross their path at the wrong time. They were taking payola from all of the hoods and gangsters. And everybody knew the whole thing was corrupt. Your politicians were all entirely out to line their own pockets exclusively at the expense of everyone else, and every single person on earth knew it. Well, now here we are, almost, 40 some odd years later, and nothing has really changed other than it's gotten a bit more open because of the cameras. People are talking about it more because of the internet. But it's really not any different today than it was back then. We're just further down the same road. We've been driving down this road for a long time. Do you like where it's taken us? I don't. But if you keep driving down the same road, all that's going to happen is you're going to get further down that road. The destination's plainly in sight. The only way you're going to change things is to turn off and get on a different road. And as a society, as a civilization, as a people, as a culture, we don't seem to be willing to do that. We just keep going right down this same road. And anybody who talks about how we need to turn off on a different road is treated as a complete lunatic radical. So here we are. Do you like the world you've made? This is your world. This is a world built by normal people. A lot of folks get really confused when I talk about how offensive being called normal is. Well, look around you. This is the world that you normal people have built. I don't think even you like it very much. This is why I get so offended when people call me normal. I see what normal people have done with the world, and I don't like it. Do you?